Welcome back to the next episode of On the Record. I'm Emily McAllister. I'm a real estate agent here in Pitt County, North Carolina. And today we are with the mayor of the town of Winterville, Mr. Ricky Hines. He's graced us with his presence this morning. So we're going to talk a little bit about the town of Winterville and growth and kind of what the next decade or so looks like. Mr. Ricky, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the position you're in.
Well, first of all, Emily, thank you for having me. My name is Ricky Hines. Of course, I'm the mayor of Winterville, and I'm actually a Pitt County native. I grew up in Bethel, which is about 20 miles north of here. Moved to Winterville in 2003 with my wife and to raise our kids. Just looking for a place to call home. So we settled in Winterville. But I've been in politics for over 47 years, working with candidates, helping candidates get elected to the office. But in 2017, I decided that I want to put my name in the hat. And after a councilman passed, so I talked with my wife. She never really wanted me to run. And so she gave me her blessings. We was at church. She smiled. And if you know my wife had the best smile in the world. And she gave me her blessings. And I ran and actually won by one vote. And that one vote was contested all the way to the North Carolina Supreme Court.
I saw where there was a recount.
Yes, that's my nickname. If you know what F3 is, the group F3, that was my nickname. F3 was recount.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, and I lost my wife in 2019 to brain cancer.
I'm sorry.
So, now running is something of a service for me in her name and spirit, because she was a person that loved the community, gave everything she had. And so
that's awesome. So before you were a councilman, you were doing like campaign work?
Like I said earlier, I helped other candidates, just behind the scene.
Right.
No campaign manager or anything like that, just out talking to people in the neighborhood and, just trying to get the candidate that I was working for elected, because I believed in that person. I believed in their platform, so that's what I did.
So in the last couple of interviews that we've done, we talk a lot about quality of life for not just obviously Winterville residents, but for Pitt County as a whole. So tell me a little bit about how you would define quality of life for the town of Winterville and how that might differ from the Greenville municipality.
Well, quality of life in Winterville, we look at it as having a safe place, having affordable housing, and having places that you can go out and as far as having dinner or activities for your kids, just a nice, well-rounded community.
One of the things I personally love about Winterville is the walkability. Walkability, you can get on a golf cart, you can get on a bike, all those things, which in downtown Greenville, you really don't have that same opportunity. So one of the things that I've talked about previously is what is the possibility of getting some bike paths throughout downtown Winterville?
Well, that's one of the things that we're kind of working on with our Vision Zero. We have a committee. We have a young lady, Miss Kat Dale. She's in charge of that. And we got a group of citizens, elected officials, principal from W.H. Robinson, fire chief, police, people from DOT. We all meet once a month, and we strategize, look at different things, look at different ways how we can make pathways as for bike trails, walking trails, just accessibility to our downtown area. So that's in the making, but with everything else, Winterville, how it was built, so small, the roads are small, and you got to kind of look at that. We do have one bike lane, which is actually on Jones Street, which is right behind W.H. Robinson, if you look at it. But with that comes is also educating the community about bike lanes,
Really?
Yeah, because when you in rural areas, you don't really think about bike lanes. People park in them, and everything else. So that means that they got to go around, go back out in traffic. So that's what we've been kind of talking about,
So you're talking about a specific bike lane in the road, not necessarily a bike path like a sidewalk.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Gotcha. Correct.
Obviously, there's a lot of growth slated for the town of Winterville, even just over the next 5-6 years, especially in that little downtown area. So that walkability factor is something that kind of sets the municipality of Winterville apart from everything else in the county. What other aspects of the town do you want to try to preserve as the town grows?
Long term is to build our downtown area up as all the way back out to our main quarter, Highway 11. We don't have a true downtown like most places do, and so you got to build it. And as the old saying said, if you build it, they'll come. And really and truly, I think we get so many calls of asking, do we have any buildings? I think we're fortunate to get the calls, people wanting to come to Winterville, and that speaks volume of what our staff is doing, to promote the town and everything else. So long term, we would love to see the downtown corridor grow.
It is kind of unique because there is such a small strip, downtown where there's no courthouse.
Right.
And I've actually talked to people sometimes where functioning downtowns are actually harder to grow. So places like downtown Greenville where you have courthouse, all of those other like county entities, it's more difficult to get some of the commercial growth like restaurants and foot traffic and that kind of thing, because so many of the buildings are already occupied by government agencies. Whereas in Winterville, you just have a limited amount of commercial buildings and really a limited amount of space to create more commercial buildings. So with the commercial buildings that are there already, what kind of control or influence does the town have as far as incentivizing certain kind of businesses, trying to diversify the kinds of businesses that are there, if any?
Well, I don't think we have any influence on the businesses. I mean, we can't tell or put someone there,
right.
If I'm getting it correct. But what we do is through our economic development and our planning department, when they come in, they try to guide you to who these private owners that own these businesses downtown. We try to put them in touch with them so they can figure out what will work best, or if the space is going to work for them or not going to work for them, So we kind of steer them that way and let them determine whether they want to be there.
So is there any kind of like grants offered for businesses that are coming in an effort to attract certain kinds
we
of
don't
businesses?
At this time, because we're so small, we don't have that luxury of offering the grants or whatever, for businesses coming in, yeah.
As far as the long-term growth plan is concerned, you have limited existing structure, and you're talking specifically about kind of between Railroad Street, which is where your main commercial strip is, and Highway 11. But there's a lot of residential existing structure there. So what does that look like as far as incentivizing commercial growth in those areas?
Well, pretty much is changing that over to commercial. And once we get that done, rezoning it for commercial use, but also we got slated long term across Highway 11 for commercial use over there as well.
Okay.
On the west side. As I like to say, I think the people tease me a lot because I live on the west side of Winterville. So we want to see the growth over there. And I think that's a segment of town that kind of gets left out, not knowing it's Winterville, because you have the divider of Highway 11, but we're still part of Winterville.
Of course. Right. When I talk to people that want to be in Winterville, it's not uncommon for one of the requirements to be in that downtown corridor of Winterville, kind of like between Highway 11 and Vernon White Road, like in that little section, because they want to be able to come in and out of downtown on a golf cart or on a bike or whatever. And so what you're saying is that there is potential for more commercial development on the west side of Winterville, where there's already a lot of residential development.
Yes, because we have a lot more open land over there. We have more partials that is very well suited for commercial on that side.
So is there any kind of plan for walkability or bikeability for that section? Because I just really believe that that's like the main driver as far as the allure of that downtown Winterville area.
Yes, there is. Our comprehensive land use plan speaks to where we want to go and what we want to do as far as how we want to look at the whole area of Winterville, as far as growth, as far as transportation, as far as commercial and all of that.
So these commercial businesses, what is kind of the ideal, if you had to give a profile, and I'm going to use the word profile, of an ideal businesses? Do you want bars, restaurants? Some of the complaints inside of the city of Greenville is, you have a lot of vape shops, you've got a lot of gas stations, you've got a lot of mattress stores. I'm going to assume that that's not like your target market for your commercial real estate.
No, it's not. There's nothing wrong. People like that, but I don't think that's the character of Winterville. And the character of Winterville is, it's hometown feel. We want, of course, we love to have more restaurants, not necessarily bars. I think we're kind of like going to keep it a family oriented town. So as far as industrial or whatnot, I don't see a whole lot coming there because of our capacity, and I think that's more well suited for our neighboring town, Greenville, because people, I think, want to really live in Winterville and working in the surrounding areas,
right?
Because that way you can, get in your vehicle, go to work. On the way back to from work, you got the downtime. So once you get home, you can enjoy your family.
Parks. That's another thing to me that's such a great thing about downtown Winterville, because Eric and I have discussed, there's a lot of residential development slated for down the road as far as larger houses. So for that kind of downtown corridor, I'm going to point out some of your challenges if I can do that.
All right,
okay. So some of your challenges, I think, are you have kind of a limited amount of style of homes. So something that I've seen on social media is like you have kind of this lack of house, more developments like Cedar Ridge and Irish Creek and things that are kind of in that like in between as far as price point, where you have houses that are between like 2,400 and 3,000 square feet. You've got brick facade. It's a little higher of an end product. And you really don't have any of that within that downtown area. It's more of starter homes, which I think contributes to how family oriented the Winterville area is. But you kind of have this process where you have young families that move into downtown Winterville because of the walkability, because of the parks, because of things of that nature. And then once their kids get into school, they move somewhere else. Once they get school age, they move into a different area of the county where they have a bigger yard, a bigger house, maybe a school district that they prefer, et cetera, et cetera. So some of the additional residential development throughout downtown, do you have any idea if that is slated to be, I'm going to use the word higher end houses or larger properties with bigger lots?
Our average age for Winterville is around 39. About 86% of the people that live in Winterville own their homes, their structures.
That's really high.
Yeah, it is, but it's a nice place to be. But as you talk about housing for Winterville, I think we meet the threshold for anybody that want to move in, because first of all, we're a certified retirement community. So he was asking about, they raised a family and then they want to maybe move out, get larger lots. But I found, talking to people, a lot of people don't like the larger lots because that means that there's more maintenance. And, as I get older, I don't want a larger yard. I want a smaller yard.
Right.
So and I think that's what people look for, conveniency. Not so much large lots, and because that means there's more costs associated with keeping it up. And I don't think people want that. I think in our new communities that are coming up, you will see that, like our PUD community, you're going to have a lot of mixed use in there. You're going to have.
Is that Southbrook?
Yes, Southbrook.
Okay, so that's the one that's going in behind Laurie Meadows. Kind of, it'll have an entrance on Laurie Ellis and an entrance on Church Street, and it's massive.
Right. Yes.
Are there any parks or green space?
There'll be a lot of green space. There'll be a lot of green space in there. That's one of the major attraction for us to even look at that project. Excuse me. Because of all the natural green space, because you don't really find subdivision anymore that gives you all that green space. You can have nice tree lines and all that. You don't find that. When developers come in, most of the time developers are taking out trees, flatten everything, right. But this developer's coming in and leaving trees, and there'll be a wetland area, a dog park area type, where you can go out and play with your dog, and whatnot, or just hang out with your child, just laying out in the grass, so I think that's going to be a really nice addition to the town.
I looked at the preliminary plat map for that, but I did not realize that there was so much green space slated for that neighborhood. So as far as residential developments, you have Southbrook, then you've got Blueberry, which is kind of across the street from there. And then you have Quail Trace. You've got Stella Little Farms that's going in behind Reedy Branch Church.
Right. Then you have Farmstead.
What's that?
Farmstead is just going across from Reedy Branch, right next door to Open Door, and across the street on Davenport.
Okay. I didn't see that one when I dug through all the preliminary plat maps.
There you go.
So who's the how big is it?
It's slated for 179 homes.
Okay. Okay. Who's the developer or the builder?
I can't remember right offhand.
Okay. So do you know who the builder is for the Southbrook neighborhood?
I don't know. I know they're out of Raleigh.
The builder has not been announced.
Right.
Okay. So they're developing, but they haven't sold the lots yet. Okay. So with all of that new growth throughout Winterville, as far as new residential growth, obviously that increases your tax base significantly. What is the plan long term for that increase in tax revenue? Are there any specific projects that you guys are talking about, or just normal stuff?
Well, typically with the tax revenue, it takes a while for it to even hit the books, because you being a realtor, you understand if it's bought in July, tax values come out with August, so that cycle before it really hits the books, as far as when you collect that tax money,
right,
for it really sets in to where we can utilize the funds for it. But as we grow and keep adding homes and, building our tax base, it's going to help the community as well, because that helps cut down on, we got to raise taxes. People want amenities, but with amenities, it costs. So, you want defined parks, you want all these things, but it comes with additional staff. It comes with everything else that you got to budget into.
What are some of the things maybe that people don't realize as far as when they're paying into town taxes? Because when I talked to Rochelle and Chris, obviously part of your property tax goes to the county for your school capital improvements. Right. When you're paying directly into the town of Winterville, what are those tax dollars being spent on?
Well, of course, we have fire, we have police, we have we're a full service community. And I think that's what people like about Winterville, because we're a full service community, with all these amenities, the fire, the police, and recreation, public works, and utilities. So that's where your taxes go, to keep these things operating, keep these things running.
With all of the additional residential development, what does that look like as far as adding on to your police department and your fire and rescue? Are you guys going to be in need of additional substations?
Yes, as the town grows, of course, we got to look at that. As the town grows, that's part of our plan, strategic plan, is to be able to help keep funding these things. As we grow, we're going to need additional staff. We're going to need, like you just said, substations in the west and the north, because that cuts down on response time. So, as far as police, we want to make sure that we give our citizens adequate safety, in our town. As far as public works, we want to make sure we meet every need, to make sure that everything, when they call, we can get there, have the people to, take care of everything. And as far as utilities, we definitely want to keep the lights on,
Sure.
So, yeah.
A lot of people, when we talk about growth and we talk about additional development, they don't like it. It really makes them angry. They do not like to see the pictures of the plat maps and all of the additional housing that is coming into an area. But I was having a conversation with someone recently. Additional housing is really one of the few ways that you can offset the tax costs for the existing residents. Because otherwise, the cost of things just continues to go up. Right. And so the only alternative is to raise the tax rate for the existing tax base if you're not continuing to add on. And so I'm assuming that ideally the goal would be, as you're adding into the tax base, to keep your tax rate the same, right, and to lessen the burden on the existing residents.
Yeah, we always want to lessen the burden on our citizens. That's our goal. But at the same time, they got to understand that, like you said, everything goes up. And you can't stay the same. If we stay the same, then we're not giving you a true product.
There have been some posts I've seen online about the town of Winterville sitting on $32 million in surplus. And I'm just very curious to get to the bottom of this. Is the town of Winterville sitting on $32 million in the bank?
If we are, we don't know where I've been, but we always hear that. I think our staff and our finance department does a great job with our finance, but our budget is around about $36 million. And I think people confuse that, right?
With that being actually cash in the bank. But that's your full operating budget.
That's exactly right.
I looked at the budget numbers, and if I remember correctly, I really want to say like your leftover cash was like less than like $6,000. Like it was. You're expending every dollar that you're bringing in.
And that's good government.
Yes.
That's good government. When you spend, my regular job, my daytime job, I work in government, and the base is from September to September is to spend everything. Because if you don't spend it, that means that you're not doing what you need to do. You're not servicing the people.
Right.
So what we try and do, but you still got to be good steward. You got to spend it wisely.
Of course.
And make sure you're putting it in the right places. Because if we're not spending our money wisely, LGC would be knocking on our door, the local government commission. And we haven't had that problem. I mean, we have entities around us that are seeing, problems, but we're fiscally sound. And again, I contributed that to our staff. They make sure that we do what we're supposed to do with people's money.
As far as your budget, are there state mandates or policies that influence the way that you spend your money?
Yes.
What do those look like?
As far as what the government requires for a town to operate, we meet that threshold. We had to have, I think, 1/3 of our budget, to be able to operate. So, and we meet that. I think we have a little bit more. And I think that's the reason people say that, that we have so much cash left over. I think we're just good stewards. And I'll keep going back to our finance department, make sure that we do what we need to do, because with like FEMA and all these things, if a natural disaster happens, just using that, we got to be able to fund that until FEMA can pay us back. And so operating costs.
I did not know that.
Right.
Is that a state policy for every municipality?
That's a federal policy as well. So what happens is if a natural disaster, just hurricane comes through, wipes out our substation, we got to get that substation back online.
You have to front the money.
But we have to declare a state of emergency. When you see the declaration comes out, state of emergency, that we declare, that's the reason why. Because if we don't, then we can't recoup all funds.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Right.
That's the kind of stuff that I am like,
Right.
Very interesting.
Right. And that's why you see most towns declare a state of emergency.
So it's a political categorization of, in order to have any sort of state or federal assistance, you have to have been in this status.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Right.
So every municipality has to have some level of reserve, I guess, in order to be able to meet those funds, and that's a federal policy?
Yes.
Even teeny tiny towns like
every municipality should have reserves, right? Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So if you were to decide, like, let's say that the town of Winterville wanted to take on some sort of project, and the town of Winterville was going to fund it itself. Could you do that? Like, if you had the funds to be able to fund some sort of project for the town without state or federal assistance?
Yes.
I mean,
it's just like, if you want to build something onto your house, what you going to do? You're going to take out a loan.
Right.
That's what we'll do. That's what we do. We try to make sure our ratings are right so we can go borrow money just like anything else. And we set aside, we got to pay it back. So, yeah.
As far as like the bike lanes, for example, if you were the bike lanes or a bike path, I'm partial to a bike path, to be honest. Okay. I really, my parents live in Emerald Isle, and I like the bike path. Right. So if you were to do something like that, obviously, under normal circumstances, you would do that with the assistance of DOT. At least if it was a bike lane, if you were expanding the road. But if you were doing a bike path, like a sidewalk, like does the DOT do? Are they in charge of sidewalks too?
Do sidewalks, right? As a matter of fact, we're trying to look at working with DOT to extend sidewalks from Main Street all the way out to Vernon White.
Yes, that would be awesome.
It's just a part of the plan. Whether we try to find some type of grant funding, or we have to fund it ourselves. Or match something that DOT gives us. Okay.
It would also be great to have a sidewalk from like all the way up and down Church Street, from downtown all the way to Reedy Branch Road, especially with all of that development going on up and down that road. Then all of those people could get on a sidewalk and walk or bike into town.
Exactly. It would be great. It would be
really awesome.
Yeah,
actually.
It would be. Yeah.
You could really set it up to where anybody that lived in that little corridor could get on a sidewalk and walk into town. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
You told me that there's something else in the works for town of Winterville. By the way of an amphitheater.
Well, I said, let's clarify this. Let's clarify this. The communication was online with my counterpart, my neighboring counterpart, was saying, wouldn't it be great for entertainment? And I put it out there. Winterville would be great because, as I said earlier, we have plenty of land. Why not? We're the greatest place to be. That's our motto, is a slice of the good life. So why not come to Winterville? We could host something of that nature, but that's wishful thinking on the mayor's part. So
there's no additional conversation. Come on, Ricky.
There's no additional conversation.
I don't know if I believe you.
There's no additional conversation. There was just conversation struck up, like I said, with my other counterpart. He put it out there, but I would love to see. I love entertainment. I do. I'd rather be closer to home than have to drive somewhere.
What would something like that look like if you were to pursue that and really try to incentivize that type of development? I mean, how do you go about doing that? You need to find a private developer to do it, or the city of Greenville has an amphitheater of sorts at the town commons, and it belongs to the city of Greenville. So are you talking about a town municipality project or private development?
Well, I love public-private partnerships. I love that. I mean, because that's the only way, to me, I think you can help grow a town without spending all your money.
Right.
Let's spend someone else's money.
Contract work is great work.
Let's spend someone else's money. So that's the whole goal. And I think with Winterville, the way it is, and as we have talked earlier, people want to come here. So, I think you can find people out there that would love to come in and pitch an idea to us, to see if that will work.
There's been some other things kind of discussed conceptually, things like mixed use development in downtown, where you've got, commercial on the first floor and then residential condos up top. How hard is the town advocating for that kind of thing?
We're always looking at it. That's one of my goals. I'm a mixed use type person. My visual is mixed use. I'd love to see that, but again, we have a lot of privately owned land. So it's if we can get them to buy into the concept, that would be great.
I think mixed use, if you want to preserve the walkability, which, like I said, I think that is the allure of downtown Winterville. If you want to preserve the walkability, the mixed use thing is definitely the way to go. And I think culturally also for a lot of people, you mentioned you feel like a lot of your residents, they don't want the bigger yards. They want lower maintenance, more community driven and focused development. And I think that's a really big cultural shift for a lot of local people here. Because as we get more relocations from other places where you typically have smaller lots, it's, more community green space, more walkability, things of that nature, that becomes the demand. Whereas people that are here locally, I think for a lot of people that are here locally, those types of things are not important or have not been in the past.
For Winterville, I think we see a lot of transits, people from up north that they don't have cars. So walkability is what they look for. And, as we trying to develop, this area, that's what kind of want to make sure that we have that if they want to move here. If they want to walk downtown to the coffee shop or get a bagel or ice cream or whatever, and, not having the big yards, because that's most of them, it's been concrete for them. So they're kind of used to that, but in a slower pace here. And so it would be nice to have that form, because we don't really have a lot of rentals. In this area.
What'd you say? 89% of your 82?
86.
86?
86.
That's still really high.
Yeah.
86% owner-occupied property is stupid high.
Yeah.
That's really impressive.
It is. that just speaks volume to the town. You can come here. You said earlier, starter homes. I remember in my profession, work as back in 2003. I think the average house in Winterville was like 152. So everybody wanted to be in Winterville.
Right.
It was great. You can move around and not a whole lot of traffic and all that. And you could raise your family here as a great starter home. And then they go from the 152 up to the $300,000 house, but you're still in a community that where you feel safe, you feel comfortable. And, so it's a revolving thing.
Is there anything else slated for town of Winterville?
Well, our goal is to provide, the town's purchase land to look at building a multipurpose center. We have worked with a consultant, and we've looking at that. But we also got to look at how we're going to fund it.
What do you mean multi-purpose center? Like indoor sports recreation?
Indoor, and not just sports now, because let's get that right.
I'm sorry.
I'm a
not
coach.
Just sports.
I'm a coach also, but there's a big push for the arts. We got to have something not just for kids that play basketball, baseball, and all that. We have other kids that have other interests. It's
very difficult to find any. City of Greenville is, I think, really the only place that has any sort of like music recreation. And I don't even think it's City of Greenville. It's Jarvis. It's held at Jarvis, the church downtown. They are the only place that I can find any sort of music lessons anywhere. And, when I was a kid, the town of Ayden has a theater down there.
My son,
Smiles and Frowns?
Yes, Smiles and Frowns. My son did that. And that's what got me interested in the arts because, I was coaching football and he became to the age at 8 years old, he could play. And I was all hype. As a father, that's, hey, I'm out there, I'm coaching. He's been every practice. He knows all my plays. And I walk in my kitchen and my wife said, tell him. I said, tell me what? He goes, Dad, I don't want to play football. And you know how that hit me like a ton of bricks.
Right.
But she said, tell him what you want to do. I want to do the Wizard of Oz play. I was like, what? But honestly,
it's a great program.
It's
or
great.
It was when I was a kid.
It was great, and I'm gonna finish it up. But to go and see what they do, it was harder than playing football because you got to learn all these lines and everything else, and they were so particular about what these kids could do and whatnot. And as a parent, you had to volunteer. And I had to volunteer, and I missed practice one day to volunteer to be a monitor. And I was put in my place because I was watching my phone trying to keep up with football practice. And I had to put it down. No, you put it down. But at the end, in December, when he did the play, and he had his 3 little lines, and he said them, but the smile on his face
that's so great.
It was worth him scoring a touchdown or anything of that nature. So that's what got me in tune to the arts, because we can't just put all our eggs in one basket.
Of course.
And we got to make sure that we're doing everything that we can do to make sure that all our citizens, from the youngest to the oldest in Winterville, have a place that they can call home, they can enjoy, and just say, I love Winterville.
Well, where is, you said you already bought the land.
We have land on Chapman Street.
Where is that?
Right off Main Street. If you come in at the light at 903 on Main Street, make the first left. That's Chapman.
Okay.
And you go down Chapman, and there's a church there, right there on the corner. It's right behind that old church, behind the old church.
Yes.
Which actually, we own the old church all the way back to where we just put in a pump station a lift station. We had to take one offline and put in a new one. So.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Multi-purpose center.
It's about 14 acres in there.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that right in the heart of town, that's 14 acres. And so you're talking about, indoor facility, maybe some outdoor fields and all that, maybe some pickleball courts. People,
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah, that's right.
Several people have been pushing to get YMCA downtown in Dickinson Avenue, but it sounds like y'all won't need that.
Well, that's Greenville. And that's what they want to push. That's all well and fine, but I got to look out for the citizens over here in Winterville.
Awesome. And I think what I've learned about the YMCA is great. I've never been in one because we don't have them here. But what I've learned about them is great. But I think it's even better when the local municipality can provide something like that, especially like that particular location with it being that accessible.
Well, it is. And we wanted, when we looked at the land, that's what we was going for. We wanted to be able, so it could be centrally located where you can walk or ride your bike or get on your golf cart, as you say, and get there, but then also access to our downtown. After you work out, hey, you might want to go grab a bite to eat, or grab a drink or something, and whatnot. So it'll be centrally located. We still working on it. It's a work in progress. We still got some time, listening to input. As I say, we got to figure out, because that's mean more staff. And so that changes your budget, and you got to figure out a way to pay for it.
There have been dozens of people on Facebook asking what's going on at the intersection of Highway 11 and Vernon White Road, where they tore the old house down where they did the Christmas lights. What do y'all have? What's the deal? Well,
you're right. I think I got so many calls on what's going on. Why are you tearing down the Vernon White house? We're not tearing it down, but it was a developer that purchased the land there. His concept is to put up partials there. Buildings there. It's going to be, I think, a total of 7 buildings there.
Okay.
Like a little mini shopping area there.
Okay.
We're projected of a hotel there on premises. And so we're excited about that. We should start seeing that come online probably sometime, hopefully breaking some ground around May or June, hopefully, with everything, because it's passed and everything. So it's pretty much on the developer now to get that done. And I think they're working on that now. And then over on Beacon, we're excited because there's a lot of potential over on Beacon Drive, which is right on the other side, over by Lowe's Food. And Lowe's Food's been a great addition to our community with all their out partials. I think they're all built out, as a matter of fact. Another pizza place, a salad place, a hot yoga, yeah. The nail salon, Pilates, everything is, you can find it right there in that area. And then with the addition, like I said, there's some more growth that's coming right there, actually on Beacon back there. So,
what is it?
Not at liberty to say, but there's some stuff coming.
On,
and some
Ricky.
good stuff. I'm not at liberty to say, right now, but there's going to be some great stuff coming.
Is it commercial or residential?
Commercial. All that is commercial. All that is prime commercial.
So a phased development with a strip mall with leasable space. And then several other standalone buildings and then the hotel. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Y'all need to figure out how to get an amphitheater.
It will come. You ask for it.
I've got a list of people I want y'all to host too. So whenever you do, I'll make sure to submit that to your office.
Okay. Yeah. I might bring you on staff.
Well, thank you, Mr. Ricky. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
You gave me a couple of good things.
I'm just hoping, with this, that people will really take a really good look at Winterville and see how we're on the right path to maintain our character of our town. It's not a bedroom community anymore. It's a great community, you know, and we want people to come here and just enjoy it.
That's awesome. Well, thank you much. If you guys have any questions or any recommendations for other people that you want to see me talk to, you can send me an email at emily@emilymcallister.com.